Was on this trail that April Mead says she was threatened and harassed by teenage boys. Fearing for her life, she went and ran and hid down in a ditch until police arrived. It's hard to believe standing out here in 35-degree weather that we are talking about flooding, but here we are. This will also be the front desk lobby, but if we come over here, this will be the community room, so a place where future residents can come together. Tonight, Abby Finkenauer has made history, not only being one of the youngest women elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, but the first woman for the state. These are individual panels, so they can basically adjust this wall based on the projected flood levels. Each panel goes down 20 feet and they weigh 110 pounds, so you'll need about 2 people to put each one of them up. I'm channeling my inner Spock right now. I had to pick up these Vulcan ears earlier today. Environmentalists claim the straws are one of the biggest polluters of the ocean, and once they get in there, they can't really break down. Water behind me is currently just over 15.5 feet, which is just under the major flood level, but it's only expected to get higher. Quick glance tonight, there are already a number of people here wearing those Biden 2020 shirts. We're still getting a consistent amount of rain, enough to get wet. We're still hearing some thunder overhead. And I spoke with the Alburnett Public Works Department. They say much of the damage was limited to this area. You can see there's a lot of snow coming down, and that means there's a lot of snow building up, but that's not enough for the university to cancel class. But what they didn't anticipate was the increasing number of semi-trucks on the road. Tonight, you'll get an inside look into this historic Ford tri-motor plane. Basically, what they're just doing is putting those HESCO barriers in, taking some precautions to close off roads, put some cones over some storm drains. The car is registering just under 90 degrees, and officials say cracking a window isn't going to help. And there's just a lot of excitement down here as Iowa City hosts its first overnight RAGBRAI stop in more than 4 decades. He says 2 men already had a hose connected to the grease bin here.
Fast rising water in Crawford County, Wisconsin is creating dangerous situations, leading to this car rescue. The man stuck in his car for an hour with the water rising until swift water rescue teams could pull him to safety.
We're looking at impact in Soldiers Grove, Gaze Mills, Steuben, and we're preparing for Wazeeka right now.
Emergency Manager Director Jim Hackett says the areas are prone to flooding, but failing dams up north are making it worse.
Those dams are usually what would slow down the water in these rains and allow us to be manageable in the flood. But because those dams did fail, they came at an increased rate, and that's why you're seeing record level highs.
The water rising above roadways and Highway 60, cutting the county in half.
The water just keeps rising and rising. It's a sad situation for everyone who's upriver. Right. Everyone feels so bad, but all we can do is watch the water rise higher.
Mary Walker and Chelsea Kaufman say right now all they can do is sit and watch the water.
The rain that they had to the north of us has just been catastrophic. So everyone knew this was coming.
As the water continues to inch up and up.
We're going to have to move back again, I think.
Yeah. Hackett says the damage to the flooded communities is expected to be significant, but hopefully that won't be the same story here in Wazeeka.
So we're preparing for the worst and hoping for the best.
They're hoping for the most part that the water disperses along the floodplains, but really they have no idea what to expect here. Some homes did take precautions by sandbagging. Reporting in Wazeeka, Jalyn Souchek, News 7 KWWL.
Proceed to Bryant Road Southwest.
This is the situation drivers are coming across in Mount Vernon. The GPS says to keep going on Bryant Road. The problem? It's a maintenance road. The path ahead, while a bit rough, looks manageable. Then it turns into this, a grassy path.
That's essentially impassable once you get to that corner.
Cars that have continued on come across a problem. They're getting stuck and then are calling police to get towed out.
They were following their GPS and turned. Seemed like it wasn't a good idea, but they went anyway because the GPS told them to.
And once you get around the bend of the road, it only gets worse. You can see here just how deep these ruts get. And when they continue on even farther, it nearly becomes impassable by the mud alone. This is where 2 of the cars have gotten stuck so far. You can see a tire still stuck in the mud there.
This is where the Blazer was.
Police say when it comes to following the GPS, to trust your gut.
Your GPS is taking you to a place that it doesn't look like you should go, then trust your brain versus the electronic device. If it looks like it's probably impassable, I mean, it probably is, right?
In the darkest hour,
Police string up this yellow tape, preventing people from seeing what has unfolded beyond. When the tape comes down, there's not only the emotional aftermath, but also the physical traces.
Because we come in at, the worst time in their life, and then we're able to help, alleviate against some of that emotion, some of that trauma for them, the physical side of it. Obviously, the mental side, we can't help out as much.
This is where Iowa CTS cleaners come in.
Really like a 1 or 2 on a 10 scale. So on a 10 scale, a 10 is where we're across the street and we can smell the house.
On this day,
things we look for are like right here, we've got, this is just a cap for a needle.
John Cruisingerna and his team are working inside a foreclosed home.
Found drug paraphernalia or needles inside, and so they saw that risk from just having a traditional trash out company come remove everything where there's that risk of getting stuck.
A camera, presumably placed by those living here, hinting at the comings and goings.
I can understand having a video camera outside your house, maybe 1 or 2, but in your living room is kind of a little different.
In the living room?
It was right inside the front door. Watching people as they walk in the door.
It can be gross and dangerous.
Couple syringes here.
Often requiring 3 types of protective suits.
A situation like a drug house where there's needles, you have no idea who those needles have come in contact with, whether it's just one person or multiple people.
But not all of their calls are like this.
We can get things even as little as someone had a bloody nose and walked through the skywalk system, to someone had a bloody nose at a Walmart bathroom.
They're accustomed to seeing the worst.
We've cleaned up multiple homicides that have been on Dateline. I get people ask me all the time, what's the worst thing you've ever seen? I'm like, what's the worst thing you can dream of? Multiply that by 4 or 5.
It takes a special person to do this. This wasn't a career path John expected to take. Note the veteran-owned sticker on his van.
I was in the Marine Corps, did 2 tours Iraq, and one of those tours, I had witnessed some things and experienced some stuff.
John and his unit were setting up a combat outpost, but the rebels got there first.
Where we could tell insurgents had actually been living in this house, kind of doing the same thing we were doing, just on a reverse side. And so, but they had actually killed the family that was in there, and they'd piled them underneath bedding and books and just all kinds of garbage.
The cleanup making him wonder, who did this back home?
Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to respond right away.
He learned there weren't many options. That's how he found his calling.
Sad thing is, if you look through and you see all the kids' toys, so like this room might have been a little kid's room.
He doesn't get into the details of what happened, focusing instead on the task at hand.
Otherwise, it'll just take over your own life.
For John, the gratification comes from making sure no one else has to do his job.
Knowing that we can help families, going in and doing something that they can't even fathom doing, or they'll tell us mentally, physically, emotionally, they could not touch that.
One less trauma to experience.
That's not the last image you want of them. Right. Not the last thought.